What are the materials that you think are necessary for the synthesis of carbohydrates in the process of photosynthesis? Do you think that the equation of photosynthesis tells about all the materials involved? After doing research for over 300 years, scientists have discovered that several other materials are involved in the process of photosynthesis apart from water, air, sunlight, carbon dioxide and minerals. Let us learn about the role of these materials in the process of photosynthesis. Von Helmont found that water was necessary for the growth of any plant. In class 7, we have already studied this fact by conducting the experiments. Once again, read the chapter on nutrition in plants in class 7 and understand how he concluded that water was necessary for the growth in the body mass of any plant. Now, let us learn about the role of air in the process of photosynthesis. Joseph Priestley, who discovered oxygen in 1774, performed a series of experiments to reveal the essential role of air in the growth of green plants. He observed that when a burning candle is enclosed in a bell jar, the flame of the candle is gradually put off. In the same way, a mouse also suffocates in a closed space, such as in an enclosed bell jar, and dies. From these observations, Priestley concluded that a burning candle and an animal change the composition of the air. He reasoned that something was necessary in the air to keep the flame burning and to make the mouse stay alive. Priestley then placed a mint plant inside the same bell jars, and he found that the mouse stayed alive and the candle, when lighted from outside, continued burning in the presence of the mint plant. Priestley hypothesized that the plants produced a gas, oxygen, that supported the burning of the candle and also allowed the mouse to survive respiration. The production of the gas takes place due to a massive exchange of gases occurring through a particular section of the leaves called stomata, and also through loose tissues on stems, roots, etc. Let us discuss in brief about how carbon dioxide is useful for photosynthesis. Here, let us perform an activity to learn about the necessity of carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. Click each tab to know more. In order to start the experiment, we need a destarched plant. For this reason, place a plant in the dark for 3 days in order to free the leaves from the starch. Remember the process of destarching the leaves as performed in activity 1, presence of starch in leaves. Insert a splitted cork in the mouth of the bottle. Place half of the leaf of destarched plant into the bottle having potassium hydroxide pellets or potassium hydroxide solution. Leave the plant under sunlight for few hours. After this, test the part of the leaf inside the bottle with the part of the leaf exposed to sunlight by pouring iodine solution on it. Observe the changes in the leaf. It was observed that half of the leaf was exposed to the sunlight. Atmospheric air becomes bluish black, and the leaf which was present inside the bottle containing potassium hydroxide does not become bluish black because potassium hydroxide absorbs the carbon dioxide present in the bottle. This indicates that carbon dioxide is necessary for the process of photosynthesis. From this experiment, it is clear that carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. During Priestley's time, scientists did not understand about energy, but in the following years, our understanding on energy increased. It was learnt that by combining oxygen with carbon and hydrogen atoms, carbon dioxide and water are produced. Scientists then tried to understand the role of oxygen in photosynthesis by learning about the process of its formation and replenishment in air. Initially, they learnt that energy situation can also reverse. Later, a Dutch scientist, Jan Ingenhousz, studied the way in which plants formed oxygen. In 1779, he observed that the formation of oxygen occurs only in the presence of light. In an experiment with the aquatic plant hydrilla, he noticed that in bright sunlight, small bubbles are formed around the green parts, while no bubbles were formed in the dark. He also discovered that the gas present inside the bubbles was oxygen. In the early 20th century, Engelmann inventively identified the point of maximum photosynthesis by exposing a strand of algae to different colors of light, the colors that are present in a rainbow. He used oxygen-sensitive bacteria and discovered certain crowded areas which illuminated under red and blue lights. This directs to study more on light and photosynthesis and the role of different colored compounds called plant pigments and the use of light. Now, let us do an activity to learn about the production of oxygen during photosynthesis in the presence of sunlight. Here, let us perform an activity to understand how oxygen is produced during photosynthesis in the presence of sunlight. Click each tab to know more. Consider the apparatus shown in the image. Take a beaker and fill it with pond water. Place water plant like hydrilla or elodie inside the beaker and cover it by a short-stemmed funnel. Take a test tube and invert it over the stem of the funnel. Ensure that the level of water in the beaker must be above the level of the end of inverted funnel. Place the entire assembly of apparatus in the sunlight for at least 3 days. It is observed that in place of water, air is filled in it. This air is actually a gas and is collected in the test tube. Test the gas collected in the test tube by inserting a glowing incense stick, which would burst into flames. This indicates the presence of oxygen. The air bubbles formed in the test tube is of oxygen gas. Thus, it is clear from this activity that oxygen is produced during the process of photosynthesis in the presence of sunlight. Here, let us perform an activity to learn about the need of sunlight in the formation of starch. Click each tab to know more. Take a plant having destarched leaves, that is, a plant which is placed in the dark for 3 days. Remember the process of destarching the leaves as performed in activity 1, presence of starch in leaves. Wrap one of its leaves with black paper on which a design is cut. Fix the black paper on the leaf with the help of clips such that light should not enter the dark part. Now, place this plant in the sunlight for few hours. Later, test the leaf that is covered by black pepper for the presence of starch by pouring iodine solution on the leaf. Observe the changes in the leaf. It is observed that only the parts of the leaf which are exposed to the light through cut-out design turn to blue-black, indicating the presence of starch. From the experiment, we learned that starch is formed only at the parts where sunlight falls. In this way, it is clear that sunlight is compulsory for the formation of starch. Ingenhousz researched more about